Yeah, so guys, we're going to look at the map, how to do some mapping with streams, how to utilize a mapping function with stream. So we want to also have a list. I'm just gonna call it mapped for now. So what we want to achieve, we want to create, we want to find, we want to square these numbers. So basically we're going to have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. That's what we want to do. So I'm just going to show you how a map works in a nutshell. Okay, so basically what I can do here, I can make it even more harder. Okay, let me start with an easier one first. So what I want to do, I want to say list dot stream dot map. So we see that the map takes function, which is a functional interface, and we know that this function takes one parameter has a function that takes one parameter and returns some other parameter, and it's called apply. It takes one parameter as input and returns something. So what we want to do here, we want to convert these numbers to their to find the square root, the squares of these numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x, then I'm just going to say x times x. Alright, so what I can do, I can say math dot power x to power 2. So this will give us a list of doubles. Then what we do, okay, let's see what we get in here. It says okay, let me see. Yeah, so this was the issue. I was wondering why was I getting the error. So I forgot that actually this becomes a list after you have applied this collect. Sorry guys. So as we can see here, we want to find powers of x to power 2. So if we run this code, we can see that we were able to create what we are looking for. Let me just run this code quickly. So we see we have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. So let's remove this because it's giving us double. So what we want to do, we want it to still be integer. So we can say x by x. Is it this multiplication? What is it saying? It says x oh my goodness, I have an error here, didn't notice. So what I'm doing here, I'm just saying map this to this, so it should give us what we were looking for. So I'm just gonna format this code quickly. Yes, so as you can see now we have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. But this is a light use case for map. You can have a situation whereby you have a list of other types, you are converting to other types. So for instance, we can have a string here. So I'm just gonna convert these things to strings quickly. All right. So what we want to do, we know that this x is a string, but we still want to get the this we want to square those numbers. We know that they are numbers. So what we want to do is we want to say we want to convert that first to int. So what we can do, we can say integer dot value of x. Then we put x there. Then we say we can say multiply by the same integer dot value of x. We can do this. So then we run this code again, we get the same result. Sorry guys, but now assume that you have other things here which cannot be converted to number. Let's say we have something like we can say Java, and clearly this is not a digit. And what we want to do, we want to check, we want to take out everything in the string that is not a digit before we can do some mapping. That's the thing that we want to achieve. We want to convert to check if our a string that we have passed is actually a legitimate digit. So we have to obviously have to write a filter function, and you guys, you saw how we actually can do that, can apply the filtering with a string in our code. So what that means is that before we map, we have to apply some filtering here before we map our code. And the filter function must filter out everything that is not a digit, so that it will proceed to the next step where it can be mapped accordingly. Because if it can not pass the filter, it means it's not a digit. That is what we want to achieve. So what do? We can implement our filter. Let's say we have element E. We want to implement our filter. So what do here? We can do a double of things. We can, because now we want to do our own filtering. We can say catch exception E. Okay. Exception X. So what do we want to do here? We want to say integer dot value of E. If this thing passes fine, we can return true. If it passes fine without any errors, otherwise we can return false. So that means if when we try to find a value of and it throws an exception, it means it could be number format exception or whatever you call it. It means that that thing is not a digit. It's not a legitimate digit that we are looking for or integer. Then if it does pass well, it will be able to reach this statement and execute it. So let's run this code. As you can see, we were able to filter this thing. Let's see what happens if we put a null pointer exception. This is what we are caching. We see we are getting an error because the exception that gets thrown by this is not a null pointer and we didn't catch it. So we have to say number format exception. Only then will our code work fine, because we have actually passed it. So this is how you can do it. But remember, we said that when a lambda contains this kind of code, it's a smell. We don't want this to happen. We want lambdas to be glue code. 2 lines or 3 is too many. So what we want to do, we want to take out this functionality and put it in a separate method. Boolean, we can call it isDigit. What is it? String str. So here we can put str. Then what you want to do here, you want to get rid of this and you want to call this guy a method reference and you want to say isDigit. Then you are fine. The code works fine. So here they want us to use passInt instead of value of. Alright, so we have this. Then everything else is fine. So we saw that we can also use, instead of using this, okay, let me run this code. It still works. Instead of using this, we can use math.power. And what are we powering? Integer dot value of pass. They want us to use passInt x 2. So we know that what gets returned to us here is a double. So if we say integer dot value of, we don't have that. So let's say a double dot do we have something like in the value, or maybe to int double too long. Okay, let me see. If I say integer dot okay, let me see to okay, do we have double something here? Okay, we don't have it. So the quickest thing we can do, we can actually typecast this guy here. So what is it saying? It says inconvertible type cannot cast double to integer. Okay, so what we can do, we can cast it like this. Yeah, so now this should also work fine for us. We get the same thing, but now we are using a map.